Obamacare, Health Marketplace, Affordable Care Act. Hi, this is Jeff at Below Average. Let's talk about it from somebody who's been using it for 4 years. Okay, so everybody wanted to know some information. If you go onto the Health Marketplace, and they'll ask you a ton of questions before you ever get a quote. You will be bombarded for the rest of your life through emails, calls, every text, everything dealing with trying to sell 10,000 different companies trying to sell you that insurance. So what I recommend, and this is how I did it, and it has worked just perfectly, is call your local, whoever in your area that you know who has healthcare. Wherever, if you had your regular job before, you had a company you've heard of, you got friends, family, just ask them, hey, who's your health insurance from? Those are the companies to call. The prices are all equivalent, real equivalent, just based on area. But if you do that and you call that company specific, you will get with an actual agent, a specific agent that you can call all the time, the same one, and talk to if you have questions. And you'll only have one person that will ever see the info that you give them. And so you will not be bombarded. You'll get something a couple times a year from them. Maybe a few other stragglers will come through the Health Marketplace, but you will not get the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails, text messages, and everything if you go actually on to the Health Marketplace and type it on in, and you'll see 10,000 different companies, and it'll be mind-boggling and drive you nuts. Go to a specific local company that you've heard of and know. Call them. Talk to an actual agent. That's what I did, and for 4.5 years, it has made the world a difference. No headaches, no problems, straight answers to everything I've ever needed at the simple touch of a call. Much simpler. So let's get into my specific details in my area. The crazy thing is if you've never called about this, never knew anybody was on it, and didn't have a clue of how this works, the first thing you're going to be shocked about is your premium is based on your specific zip code that you live in. Very first thing they ask, what is your zip code? Crazy, isn't it? But that's what it is. You could have a rate from where you're at, and you could be 2 miles from the next zip code, and the rate could be quadruple, double, triple, cheaper. It's all over the place. It's crazy. So your specific zip code is by far that's the very first thing they ask. The next thing is obviously your age, how many people that are going to be on it and their ages, if you have a family or just your spouse. For me, it's just myself and my wife. That's how it's been for 4.5 years. Then they'll ask for what you might have heard of as an estimated income. Depending on when you are applying for this it is a rather difficult guess, but you have to give them something realistic just to give you the quote on. That's just how it is. And then the last one that they ask, and it is the last one, is if you're a smoker or non-smoker. I have no idea on the rates for smokers because this all deals with non-smoking. So first, zip code, huge. Age, how many people on it, and your income, smoker or non-smoker. And from there, to give you the next idea, is if you're right now, as of in 2024, now all this changes December 1st when they'll get their next rates for next year. But everything pretty close. Over the years, real similar. So nothing too drastic. But just to give you a quick idea, the minimum amount you need as far as income is $29,000. If you end up getting, they will not quote you anything. Basic, it's like 28 something thousand, but if you figure 29,000, it simplifies everything for 2024. So next year is probably going to be, it's going to be close to that same thing for 2025. You do not want to go below that when you file your taxes the following year, because if you go below that number, there is a chance, a very good chance, that they will come back and make you pay the difference of that money. Not the difference, the entire amount for your, when they give you a quote on how much you'll be offered through the marketplace, which right now is about, for the example I'm giving you, is about $1,300 range. So they apply that towards the premium. And if your premium, you could be paying nothing. That's exactly what I pay. My wife and I pay zero. So you have to be close to making the mid 30s. And I'm looking at self-employed people. I'm talking about eBay and all these people that are on this stuff. You're making between 29 and mid 30 range in my area, my zip code for my age, and all this and this and that I've already mentioned. You'll be paying zero. Now, if you fall under that $29,000, that $1,300 a month or the range, they could come back after you and make you pay all or a portion of that back. So you definitely do not want to end up hitting that number. And that number goes up every year. So every year, if you're close to that, which I have been close in that range all the time, you have to call to get a verification on what that's going to be. So you have some ideas on what you need to do. You might have to not even take some of the deductions that you normally can get just to have your income boosted up above it, because you would rather pay a little bit more in regular taxes than you would on paying that whole premium back. And the other way, if you make a lot more money, you'll be paying the difference, and that difference is, I can't give you an idea on that because I've never quite been there. But it all depends on income. If you go $1,000 over, you're paying very low. If you go 5,000 over, you might still not be paying much. You go 10, 7, 8, 10. There's some trigger point, and then all of a sudden it goes crazy. So you need to know where you're at right there. So after that crazy scenario, and that's why you want to call somebody local. So you're talking to somebody. You're not putting in numbers and trying to figure out why are this or why are that, and getting calls or messages from people from out of state. Call somebody that's local, somebody that's within the next city by you, wherever their office is at. So you can get these answers straight, and they're easier to call back the following year. And hey, I just need an update on what's the minimum number again, because is what they'll do if you fall under that. They'll still do some processing of your paperwork, and you'll end up, for here in Michigan, you'd be under the Michigan insurance, Medicaid, and that's what you would end up falling in. And I don't have any idea on how any of that works. I'm just talking about the Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, Health Marketplace. This is what I'm talking about. So now that we've kind of gotten beyond that, and this is, I tell you what, I don't know of anybody who's come on. You got the salespeople go on YouTube and talk, and random stuff and call them and do this and that. You're talking to somebody who's actually utilized it for 4.5 years. And personally, it has benefited my wife and I because of the zero cost. That's been awesome. Now, if you want to, let's get into the coverage, some of the breakdown on it. You do have to belong. Your family doctor has to be within the network. You can't get around that. You have to have a doctor in the network. Luckily, ours was already in the network. Ours always was in the network. So that was a big plus. Now, to give you a little bit of an example, like regular doctor visits, out of pockets, like the $30 for the office visit, and that's for the program I'm on, which we do. I guess I should back up. What the deductible is massive. It's like $5,500 a person and $10,000 or $11,000 for both of us. So it's massive. And that obviously mainly would only be used if you went into an actual hospital for something big. Your normal going down to the doctor for things, you'd be doing the $30 and you'd be paying a little extra on the other stuff. Blood work, same thing. I get probably 10 different things every year dealing with blood work checked. And I'll pay anywhere from $50 to $100 out of pocket, just depending on which ones they're doing at the time. Checking for different things, thyroid and vitamin D deficiencies, and all those basic ones. If you end up having it done. If you don't have it done, you don't have to worry about it. And under all the programs for the Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, you have a one time a year physical exam that's free, which it seems like they're all making you end up going to it just to be able to get your prescriptions filled. And that is free. You don't even pay the office visit. So that gives you kind of an idea as far as that goes. Now, anything else, you have to stay in network too. Anything the family doctor offers outside, you have to go to a specialist or this or that. Got to make sure that they're considered in network, which will help with the cost. And then the then the best thing to do is just to call the insurance company direct, and you can tell them what you're looking for. You even make sure they give you a code from your doctor, and they can give you a really close idea on what you'll have to pay out of pocket. Then you determine, is it something you're really going to go and do or not do. And I'd advise that you don't want to get hit with some crazy bill, because they can get expensive after that. But for the bare basics, if you're healthy, you don't go to the doctor all the time. It has worked out fabulous for my wife and I. Now the prescriptions, same thing. Um, my wife does have a handful of prescriptions, and before we ever got an Affordable Care Act, I was able to call and tell them. They were able to look and tell me exactly what the cost would be, and it was almost exactly right at where I was at my regular workplace. And that stayed that way for 4.5 years. Actually, most of them have went down. So there's been, as far as any of that goes, no surprises at all. That's been awesome. I can't praise it enough for that, for that scenario, for us to have an opportunity to do what we're doing. Now, will this stay forever? I have no idea. I keep thinking someday might be having to go back and do something different, because some of the requirements keep going up. The $29,000 minimal, when I started, it used to be in the low 20s. So now you go through the way the economy is now, it's a little tough for us resellers to be able to be making enough money. So unless you don't use all the deductions, that'd be the other way around it. You got to make sure you stay above that $29,000 mark. You have to. So that gives you a pretty clear example as far as that scenario goes. Out of network, if you have to go out of network, out of state, you will incur a big cost. So if you're somebody who travels a lot and gone, might be a little, and you're not healthy, it might make you a little nervous. It would me. So I'm just talking about in your local area where you live, in the state you're in, down to the bare basics, that the Obamacare plan, from somebody who's used it for over 4 years, I have thoroughly enjoyed it. You get a regular card like you did. No, it doesn't say Obamacare for it. It has a regular code on there. It has everything right from the same insurance company that your next door neighbor or relative might have, the same company, just a different plan, different numbers. No one knows if you're using that or not using it, or what kind of program you're on, because it can get expensive. Like I said, I have the worst plan that they offer available, the highest deductible, the highest out-of-pocket cost. And that was in order to get down to paying zero out of pocket, as long as I can stay within the 29 to mid 30 range, right in there in Michigan, in my zip code, for my age, for the income, for all that kind of stuff. That is where we're at under the program at this point. Now let me flip a card here. I'm just kind of curious. I want to make sure that I'm hitting everything up, or give you some kind of idea. One other thing I guess I have been asked about, even from friends and family, is there is no dental or hearing that goes with this. Those are different things. If you need or think you need, those are what you have to do outside of the marketplace. So I don't have any idea on that. The only thing I can tell you on not hearing, but like on vision, I guess that's what I meant, the vision care. If you shop around, if you're somebody that needs glasses, you can literally, probably for the most part, go to some other place that don't even take insurance and be paying the same thing you would as if you have insurance. You might have to go to a Walmart or a Costco, or somebody that will do an exam, and they're cheap, and they got plenty of things to choose from. I have known people who have actually went there when they even had vision insurance, because it was so much cheaper. They didn't pay hardly anything compared to their vision insurance. So that one's not near as critical. The dental, that can be, depending on just where you're at, and and what you need to have done. That is purely out of pocket, unless you get some other plan. That's it. That's just kind of giving you an example of somebody who has been on this Obamacare and the health marketplace, affordable care, for 4.5 years. I've just talked to my agent. That gives you kind of those updates from 2024. The December 1st is where they'll have the new rates for next year on what everything will be. So there'll be slight changes on those. So you might be able to end up looking, just to give you an example, exactly where I'm at. He said if I wanted to go to the next plan up, it'd be about $285 a month, but the deductible drops down to under $1,000. And the out of pocket for or the office visits cheaper, prescriptions are cheaper, all those kind of things. But you do have to end up, throwing them, a few $100s a month. So at this point, I like it being free. The big one, don't go under. That is that is tough. If you go under, you will be hit for that. You will know it when you do your taxes. They will tell you there. It will come up. You will have to pay. So you don't want to end up doing that. But please like, subscribe, make a comment below. Tell me what you have, how it works in your state, where you're at, because everything is so different. It is so different. There's people that probably can't even that might not even ever get it free if they live in the wrong state or the wrong zip code, and they're not able to do it. But I'd like to know. So if you can, please leave something in the comments down below. Please like, subscribe, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Good night.